Anthem. Love it or hate it, or wanted to love it and held off hoping until you ran out of breath. There's no doubt Anthem was one of the most controversial game releases of 2019. It started with high hopes and big hype from the E3 trailers, which turned out to only be false advertising, and those teasers were just a fabricated version of a game that never existed. This was just the beginning. A rough launch riddled with game-breaking bugs, networking issues, and exploits giving players massive advantages, an unfinished and fragmented story stitched together from a development team that was falling apart from inside. It's a surprise the game made it as far as it did, considering all the inside stories that surfaced as the game's cracks quickly started to spread across the internet. The launch was followed with content promises that continued to be one disappointment after another, which eventually led Bioware to taking down the roadmap entirely. And even the lead producer Ben Irving had left the company, and he was the last bastion that breathed any sort of hope into Anthem's future. So now what? Recently, Bioware has come forward to talk about Anthem 2.0. Many people are saying, let it die. Quit beating a dead horse. Other hopeful gamers who actually enjoyed the core mechanics and fantasy of flying around in a super-powered javelin are still holding on for dear hope. Is this the right decision? Well, consider this. Anthem was in the top 10 best-selling games of 2019. Despite its downfalls, the game was technically a success, and in my opinion, Bioware owes it to their fans and to themselves to give it one last hurrah. While a lot of the core systems of Anthem are completely unpolished or missing entirely, the one thing they did get right was making it feel awesome to soar around in a super weaponized javelin ready for mass destruction. And in my opinion, it felt good. Really, really good. For me, it was a symphony of beautiful graphics and remarkable controls every time I suited up into that javelin for battle. The problem was, they forgot to actually make a game. So I personally believe Anthem still has a shot, so long as they don't leave it up to the same skeleton crew has been in charge of updating the game over the last year. The same team which memes and articles are surfacing that they haven't even taken down the Christmas decorations from December's winter event. So hopefully they have brought on more people who are currently working on 2.0 while the skeleton crew continues to cycle the limited microtransaction cosmetics and shuffle together some new events to keep dedicated fans content while we wait for the so-called Anthem 2.0. But let's pause for a minute and give Bioware and the current team some credit. Again, the game is beautiful and has some amazing core gameplay mechanics after all, and I too believe they have something to be proud of with this product, as it in fact has the base foundations to make a very good game. And I myself have put in well over 100 hours plus into this product and enjoyed a solid portion of that time. I have paid similar prices for games in the past and gotten less time out of them and have not complained. I think the situation has become similar to Blizzard's messing up with Warcraft 3 Reforged. Anthem is plagued with the faulty advertising from the very beginning, broken promises, a bad launch, which led to massive disappointment in fans. Everyone thought this was going to be the next co-op game they played for years and years to come, so the disappointments and critique was put under a larger microscope based on the hype and promises. So let's bring this all back around. If Anthem 2.0 is a possible future reality and they plan to reinvent the core gameplay loop with clear goals, motivating challenges, and progression with meaningful rewards, if achieved, this could mean the Anthem we all wanted at launch. A possible redemption story maybe? Or another cancelled roadmap that strung us along for the ride yet again. Only time can tell. In the meantime, what has become of Anthem today? Maybe you played at launch and gave up on the game. Maybe you decided to hold off until the loot was fixed. Whatever the reason, many fans have decided the game was dead and moved on, and I was one of them. But we recently decided to suit up back in our javelins 1 year later and give the game another chance to find out what this development team has actually accomplished over the last year. So today, I'm going to give you a complete Anthem breakdown 1 year later. Heyo everybody, my name is Johnny5Alive and welcome to Channel 5 Gaming. Here I cover a variety of gaming, so if you're new, be sure to smash that subscribe button, and if you enjoyed the video, please do leave a like. But let's get right on into things. Anthem was a big game for me in 2019. I created over 40 videos on Anthem, from guides, crazy moments, news videos, and my team was the world's first with video proof clearing tyrant mines on GM3. So I was one of those early believers in this game, and I really wanted to enjoy it, and I played it very hard. And that's why I have hope that they turn this game around. But in order to convince me, I needed to find out how much the game has changed since I gave up on it back in April 2019. So here we go. It's raining legendaries, baby. Look at all this loot. Loot 2.0 is finally here. Would you look at this? Legendary, legendary, legendary. So many legendaries. It's raining like Skittles. Finally. Who would have thought that dialing up the loot on drops would make the game fun again? But is it enough? First thing we need to mention here, we tried the winter event and it is still on right now, which makes a massive impact on your current experience with Anthem. A lot of the enjoyment that I actually had coming back to this game could very well be a limited time thing, and the game could go back to being very mediocre. Although the winter event isn't exactly spectacular either, but it's much more enjoyable than Anthem back in early 2019. With that said, if you want the TLDR quick cut answer, I would have to say Anthem is in a decent place with this current event, and if you want endless amounts of legendaries, new weapons, new free cosmetics, new challenges, and finally an opportunity to make various different builds and customized loadouts, now is the time to get in and have the fun you always wanted with Anthem, even if it's short-lived. You will have fun watching your gear jump up 300 plus levels to a 960 legendary javelin. It's gone from way too slow and grindy to give you everything you dreamt of in a single night of playing. You will literally max your gear score with full legendaries in a night of the winter event, which is also the game's current fault, because you will quickly find that you have nothing to strive for or nothing to challenge you, as GM3 used to be nearly impossible and now you can clear it in less than 15 minutes. There is no higher challenge after that, but the silver lining is that you finally get the desired loot you always wanted, and you can make some pretty fun builds with that. It makes for a fun experience, but every game needs a proper gameplay loop, new challenges, and harder content. If you find you're having more fun than ever before, you'll quickly find yourself bored of the game faster than before, simply from the lack of challenge in the current state of the game. So that's my summary. If you want to know the finer details, let's go into that now. Let's talk about what you'll be doing in Anthem today and what this winter event brought to the table. The new winter event, Ice Tide, brings a slew of new game modes, new loot, improved drop rates, seasonal credits to buy whatever legendaries you wish, new free cosmetics, all really good stuff on the surface. So let's work down the list and see how good this content really is. First of all, we need to take a second to appreciate the Christmas festivities going on in Fort Tarsus, even though it's February now. We have Christmas lights slewed about, snow decorations, icy statues, and even the entire world in free play has a persistent seasonal blizzard everywhere you go, which also means your thrusters won't overheat nearly as quick. The massive environmental change is a wonder to explore and worth popping into just to fly around and check things out for a few hours. So speaking of flying around, free play, let's look at some of the new features free play has. Time trials. You'll find these all over the map in free play mode. It's basically a flying time trial game with high scores. You don't really get much out of it, and honestly, it's not very enjoyable. For me, I did this once, got a purple drop from it, zero gratification, and simply moved on with the feeling I would never do that again. This might be appealing to a small fraction of people, so it's nice to have it in there, but I personally feel like it was a waste of development time, and I would much preferred some sort of hilarious sky racing Mario Kart style with 12 plus javelins battling each other to a finish line. At least that would bring people together for a good time, and it adds to the multiplayer experience. These time trials actually detract from free play, as you now have more people in your game distracted flying around doing this stuff rather than helping you achieve important goals like the new events. So the new legendary world events, let's talk about them. Ice Tide Coolant Harvest. This is where you go help the Arcanist harvest precious coolant resources resources while fighting off outlaws forces that are trying to steal it from you. The mode has 2 phases. The first phase, you go finding coolers and walk them back. This part is actually extremely boring and frustrating, as you barely have enough time to walk your frozen hypothermia butt back to the drop-off point while mobs are swatting at you. Without a friend, taking even just 1 hit means you won't get back to the tank in time. Once you have all the coolers put in, here's where the actual fun begins, as you defend the harvester from massive waves of outlaws and specialty mini bosses. After all your efforts are done, you are rewarded with a chest. But the promoted seasonal credits that are so sought after are not rewarded to you here for your efforts, making this game mode another one and done, just like the time trials. It's simply not worth doing, and the first phase is mind-numbingly boring, so I simply did not enjoy it. Free play also comes with some additional fighting events, and the same events you are always used to. Some new collectibles and codex things that you can find around the map, but overall I'm still left with the feeling I've wasted my time in free play yet again. It's simply not enough, especially compared to the seasonal themed strongholds, which we will take a look at now. So the seasonal themed strongholds, every 5 days they rotate one of the 4 strongholds to become a special winter event stronghold. It is no longer your standard stronghold, as it now includes multiple ways to increase your score multiplier. They do this through flying puzzles, match 2 puzzles, hidden ribbits around the map, ultimately leading to spawning a massive loot ribbit, increases your score multiplier if you find them all. Specialty mobs you will need to kill in a specific amount of time, segments that you need to clear in a certain amount of time, and of course clearing the entire dungeon in a timely manner while doing the maximum damage possible to the boss. All this done effectively will net you a score and put you on a leaderboard, giving you some sort of time trial challenge for you and your friends. Not only that, you will be rewarded with seasonal credits for your efforts. On GM3, the hardest difficulty, we average clearing Heart of Rage in about 15 to 20 minutes with a minimum prize of 5,000 credits, and I even got as high as 15,000 credits in a single run. And I'm sure some pro teams out there have even doubled that. So what I need to mention here is you're pretty much guaranteed at least 1 legendary from every run. I have seen up to 4 from a single run, but what about these special seasonal credits? What do you get? Well, let's check that out. The seasonal shop offers certain types of legendary rewards with some player choice involved. The cost for a single 80 gear score legendary is only 5,000 credits, which is the average amount you get from doing a single run, meaning you will always get a new toy after every session, plus random legendary drops. So this is great, right? Non-stop legendaries and very quickly. Well, not so great. The game still has segregated the types of legendaries you need to complete your awesome builds, such as javelin specific components still only drop from the daily legendary contracts, which no one is playing anymore, and the drop rates on those are just as bad as they always were. So while the event gives you a surplus of new toys, it's not the ones you need, so you will still have to mind-numbingly grind the legendary contracts, and usually do this solo because everyone else is queuing for the Stronghold event. Also, due to the fact that GM3 is so heavily nerfed, or it's a side effect from such good gear being handed out, your build becomes irrelevant. I have the highest possible gear score, but nothing really works together. But I still wreck the hardest enemies in the game. So getting that ideal build may let you play a different way, or even better, but it's another way to experience the game without any challenge. So the indirect cause of this event has led the game to have less variety content than ever before, simply because people are only farming 1 stronghold for the entire week for those juicy credits, giving new cosmetics and legendaries. And I must say, the 5-day timer on these dungeons makes it so much worse, especially when you're getting the Sunken Cell stronghold. Most people don't know how to properly beat this with a high score, and you get levers every single game. Now you have no reason to play Anthem for 5 days. I went into this event feeling like the game was so exciting again, to only come out feeling like it's worse than I've ever seen before. The game design decisions on free play make it even harder to get 4 players on your map to coordinate and play together, so free play is worse. Nobody is playing legendary story contracts anymore, and everyone is focused on the bonus stronghold, which does rain legendaries like Skittles. But it's so mind-numbingly easy that I actually miss the days when GM3 took us 3 hours to beat with a coordinated team, specific builds, and all that to remotely be possibly successful. Every game needs a challenge and a nice variety of content to keep you coming back. Anthem today, they are finally handing out loot, and some new interesting loot at that, but they put so much focus on one stronghold being the provider of that loot, which it indirectly affects every other aspect of the game. Nothing else is worth doing anymore. I personally enjoy doing the strongholds the most, so I wouldn't hate this idea, so long as they rotated the dungeons daily, added more of them, added more difficulties such as GM 4, 5, and 6, but it appears this is what we get until Anthem 2.0 drops. Based on the design decisions they made here, they made one good decision that resulted in ruining every aspect of the game. Therefore, it was a terrible decision overall. And if these are the core design philosophies that they're going into Anthem 2.0 with, it could be a complete and utter disaster. So what are my closing thoughts on all this? Well, if you haven't played Anthem in a very long time, get in there and enjoy the free loot that they give out during these events. Get your Javelin maxed out and enjoy the feeling of being a god for a weekend. It's certainly worth that much. I had fun for a limited time, but unfortunately, it was a very limited time. I really do enjoy the core mechanics of the game, so getting some new toys and feeling the power of my Interceptor Javelin again was honestly quite enjoyable. The game has potential, but I come out feeling frustrated over these endless series of poor design decisions. Most of these decisions are based on player feedback, yet they take that feedback and essentially make the game worse. I'm not sure if they actually get it. Can they actually reinvent the core gameplay loop with clear goals, motivating challenges, and progression with meaningful rewards? That's the whole purpose of Anthem 2.0, but surely they could have done that with Anthem 1.0 over the last entire year they had to work with it. Based on the current state of the game and the events of the Cataclysm and Winter event, is showing they don't know how to make core gameplay mechanic loops, motivating challenges, or meaningful rewards. So I'm left feeling super skeptical, but yet I'm allowing myself to naively be strung along by their words, holding and hoping for that ultimate super weaponized Javelin gameplay experience. They truly did create a solid foundation for an exciting game, so now all we can do is sit back and wait for Anthem 2.0. And based on the current state of Anthem 1.0, I wouldn't get your hopes up again, as it could just end up being another deleted roadmap. The pressure on Bioware is high. They put themselves under the microscope yet again. I'm hoping for a comeback story, and I'll be ready to suit up my Javelin when the time comes. So be sure to subscribe if you want to see where this story goes, because I'll be following Anthem 2.0 closely, and we'll be sure to cover it top to bottom when the day it comes out. I'm Johnny5Alive. Thank you guys all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, and I will see you in the next one. Bye now.